Back in my mid-20s, I got engaged to Jillian. I took her to meet my mom and my stepdad. We went to a restaurant in the Dallas area, and it was mostly fine. But throughout dinner, my stepdad did what he always did, which is needle and needle and needle me. His goal was always to get under my skin, and at that time, I was too young to know how to really manage it. So what happened was I got fed up with him and I actually stormed out. I'd done this before. It's not a great move. It's an even worse move when you realize you've abandoned your girlfriend who is just meeting your family for the first time. It was about 15 minutes later when Jillian came out and said, "We should probably leave." She wasn't happy, but to Jillian's credit, she's always been full of grace, and I learned a lot from that experience. I apologized to her and we moved I apologized to her and we moved on. I'm still embarrassed by my behavior to this day, but I'm also a little proud of it too. It was a revelatory moment for me. You don't have to be around people that you feel uncomfortable around. Of course, I still visit my family. They're mostly lovely people. My mother, in fact, listens to this show. Hi, Ma. I've told her all of this before. She gets it now. It's not to blame my family. Honestly, this is a me problem, not a they problem. I'm the one who doesn't cope well with people who don't converse the way I would like them to. I'll keep working on this part of myself, but not too hard. I have Night Vale episodes to write. I have shows to watch in New York. I have friends to hang out with. I have horror movies to watch, okay? Speaking of horror movies, we watched a family comedy this week called You're Next. It's about a guy taking his girlfriend to meet his family, only he handles it way worse than I did. Boy, he really pooped the proverbial bed. Wacky capers ensue. To be fair to that guy, though, his family's pretty annoying. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
There's a home invader. You don't have a gun and you can't reach your kitchen knives. But you can have any other object in your home to defend yourself. What are you getting?
Um, okay. I can't reach the knives. Oh God. Fan. I use a fan to distract. I don't
Oh,
know.
interesting. Like
Sort
a
of a
like
deflect. Yeah, like I don't know. That's a terrible thing. I don't know. Chairs? Like
yeah,
anything is a weapon if you look at it, if you hold it the right way,
that's
I
right.
think.
Yeah, that's
Like they
right.
use chairs pretty effectively in this movie, although
hmm
I was like, why don't you just close the curtains? That's just me though.
uh yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like I was thinking about the house I grew up in. We had like a fireplace poker, which is a pretty great weapon,
Yes.
but I don't have a
Yes.
fireplace here, so that would be weird to have a poker. I think like a for a one-shot thing, like you could grab a potted plant because you get some
Yep.
shards, you get a nice
Yep.
solid thumb. To that extension, just if you've had a wine bottle and you could crack that open, you
Wine
got a
bottle.
full ass shiv.
I
Um,
mean, I've got, some cast iron skillets that would
oh
be
yeah.
real effective as both weapon and shield.
Yeah, that's right. As you said, anything is a weapon if you use it right.
Hmm.
So, Cecil, I failed to get us a guest for the show once again, but I did get us a singer, a songwriter, a cocktail aficionado, and an A+ touring buddy and road warrior. I got us a Juliana Finch. Hi, Juliana.
Hi, it's so great to see you guys.
Nice to see you too.
Hi.
Juliana, what weapon are you grabbing? You're in a hotel room right now because you are on the road.
Oh, do I have to
Do
pick
you
something
have
from
any
the
immediate
hotel?
weapons in your Homewood Suites or wherever you're at?
You know that little those little ice containers are pretty solid.
Oh,
Mm.
there you
The
go. Yeah,
tongs,
get the ice
little
bucket.
ice bucket. I think I'm going ice bucket if I have to choose here. If I'm at home, banjos are very heavy. I have a banjo at home, and you can get a good swing.
Yeah. It's got a
Both of
natural handle to it.
Hmm.
And both of those items would have a top quality sound when you landed them.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about the Foley
Yeah, one's a
when I.
bong, one's a twang, and both are spectacular. Uh, have you seen this movie before, Juliana?
I had not seen it before. I tend to be on the Jeffrey side of the spectrum where
Oh,
I'm a
that's right.
little bit squeamish about horror movies, especially ones that are like human on human violence.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And so based on the ad, based on the trailer, it didn't look like something I would have wanted to watch when it came out. But I'm very glad I watched it, actually.
Oh, good. How did you do throughout this movie?
I
For
was fine. I
okay.
feel like the gore, the violence here is slapstick most of the
Mm-hmm.
time. So
And you,
it was absurd to the point where it was kind of fine again.
uh-huh. And you've seen this movie before, Cecil, I presume.
Yes, I had, but I think I had confused, like, those early 2000s with people in animal masks, I was like,
Oh,
there's maybe
yes.
like 3 different movies. I was like, did I even rent the right film? Is this right? No, this is not The Strangers. No, it's not that one.
Oh,
No, it's
right.
not the French one, Il, you know, but they
Mhm.
all kind of morphed together. But as soon as it got going, I was like, oh, right. I do remember this
Uh-huh.
one.
I remembered when this came out and people talking about this movie in like 2013, that it does sort of subvert the slasher genre a little bit by having it was the first movie I could think of, and at the time not being a horror movie fan, but it was the first movie I could think of that really did subvert the slasher genre, where it's like, no, what if fight back? What if the slasher killers fucked with the wrong lady?
Yeah.
I love the final girl trope in
Uh-huh.
horror movies, and this is like such a great example of what you can do with that trope in a contemporary movie.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And it does our main character Erin, she does the thing that so rarely happens in horror movies, which is she makes great decisions. She's calm and focused. And it's and I really appreciate that so much as a person who, like, in times of stress where there's a lot of immediate things, I generally feel like I operate well, and people who like start just screaming for no reason in horror movies, I'm like, you are not helping anything right
Oh,
now.
no.
I
Well,
love that she
let's
basically became like a general immediately. She
mhm.
was just like,
Yeah.
I am in charge. This is what's
Yeah.
happening.
Like a Boy Scout leader, just be like, you do this, you go over there.
Mhm.
And yeah, I love it. And in a timely manner as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start at the beginning. As we do, we start immediately upon sounds of disappointing sex.
Wow. You
Yeah.
know it as soon as it comes up on that screen.
Uh-huh.
And then
This
when they
is
focus on her, there's just no light in her. She's like, I
No.
want to be anywhere else.
No. It's like, well, you're finished.
But yeah, classic slasher opening, a sex scene, a couple, dark house somewhere.
yeah, somebody's gonna get knifed if you're doing it in a slasher movie.
Yeah.
And both of them
I mean,
are, as a matter of fact. We have so this is Eric and Talia, which I only really know her name through the credits, but Eric is a middle-aged guy, 30s, maybe 40-ish. And then Talia looks very young. Uh, we learn later that this is a professor and student. That this man had,
uh-oh.
like, we learned just through passing conversation from our main characters that he had left his wife and married one of his students and is living out here in the woods, living
And
rurally.
clearly it is going great.
Yeah, listen, I'm not for adding just a shit ton of prequels to films all the time. We do this too much, but I really was interested in like the domestic drama movie about
Yeah.
their lives, because I'm like, why is she with him? Like, I understand disappointing sex with a professor if you're like, well, this is getting my grades up. I don't know. Like, maybe there's an excuse for something there. There's some cachet to disappointing sex sometimes, but like, man, she looks uninterested.
I know, right?
Yeah.
She's in it for the orange juice. It was
She's
like a very,
Yeah, she's in
very
for the
sexy shot
screwdriver.
yeah,
of the
Yeah.
she's
screwdriver being made.
yeah. He does look pretty wealthy, so like she's putting Belvedere in that orange juice, I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he hops into the shower. She goes downstairs to pour herself a screwdriver and put on a CD into the 5 disc carousel.
Oh,
Lovely.
God bless.
I
God
remember
bless.
those.
This movie was made in 2011, and I'm just thinking about all of the changes that are going to happen in these next 10 years.
I used to
Uh,
have one of those in my car that was like a 7 CD changer, but you had to like go to the boot of the car, like the trunk of the car in order to change out the CDs. So really it was just the same
uh-huh.
7 CDs for like months at a time.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to commit to what you want to be listening to for a
I
while.
really do. Speaking of Jillian, last year she finally bought a new car. She had a 2011 Honda, and when she took it in, traded it in, they told her, they said, well, you have some CDs in that changer. And she's like, I do. So she ejected like 5 CDs out of this thing, like just kept pressing eject, 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 and sent me a photo. And she's like, I don't remember listening to any of these, but this is cool that I found this old Indigo Girls or
I
whatever.
was gonna say, what were the cranberries? What's in there?
um,
I just had to give up my Honda with 2006 Honda and got a new one
Oh,
over the summer. And it's the first time I haven't had a CD player in my car. I'm like, I
mhm.
don't know what to
oh,
do.
it's
I
so
can't run around with
passe.
my binders of CDs and act
Oh,
like it's 1997.
God, those were the best. You're like, no, I'll be the DJ, and you just pull out 2 giant books of CDs.
Yep.
So she hears there's a recurring like visual and aural motif throughout this of the camera shakes and we hear a rumbling sound. There's something almost
Mhm.
like supernatural about the presence of the killers. Like I find that really an interesting choice, even though everything in this is real world. Like there's nothing supernatural necessarily to this, but we get that crazy rumbling noise outside, and then we cut to Eric getting out of the shower, and written in blood on the sliding patio door to the bedroom is "You're next," written in blood. And there's Talia's dead body, and as he turns to run, machete death.
I
Machete.
also I loved this shot where he goes to touch the blood and realizes it's outside instead
Yes.
of inside. And then you see the light, where she is outside. And there's almost this moment where he's like, I don't know, it looks like he's relieved that it's outside and not
Oh no,
inside.
right,
But
right,
then the
right.
killer is inside
Hmm.
or
And it's
down.
immediate, like as in
Yeah.
you're immediately next.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question here that is kind of just a big plot question. Maybe it's a minor plot question. Why did they kill these two? Because we learn the story
I
as to
thought about
why
that
they
as
attacked
yeah.
the family. That's our main story. And my question was, because it does seem like this is the only other house nearby, is the reason they kill them, kill Eric and Talia, because they need to get rid of the neighbors so that no one can
There's
get help?
there's a throwaway line. I wish they'd paid more attention to it, but when the big reveal happens and the killers are talking to each other, there's a line about like they killed we it has to look well when Crispin is laying out his whole plan. He
Mm,
says it has to look like there were mad killers like that killed our neighbors and our family, as though it's like
Uh-huh.
a spree that they're the
gotcha.
only couple around. But they don't really focus. That's like most of the way through the movie.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering the same thing. I was like, what is
Yeah.
the what I thought on first watch, having no background and not knowing necessarily where we were going, was that the wife had hired killers because we have this line of like he left his wife for a
Oh,
student, and I was
oh,
like, oh, did
Mm,
she like hire somebody to off her husband?
hmm.
oh, interesting. Ooh, I like
But that's not where
that.
it went though.
No, that's not. But I like that. I like that. I mean, I was thinking it's just, when you only have one neighbor and these killers, like, like up until about the midpoint, it's like preternatural, supernatural, like their ability to predict what the fuck these people are going to do.
Yeah,
So naturally, run next door to get help is going to be one of the first things on the list. So they're like, well, we'll just cross that off the list.
yeah, that
So
makes sense too.
we have let's do our roll call, or our Mouseketeer roll call here. We have Aaron and Crispin, kind of our central couple. Aaron is going to be our protagonist of this movie, but Aaron is in the car riding with Crispin to his family's Tudor mansion.
Oh my, this house.
Hmm. This is,
Dad's retirement project.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
God. So, and Crispin is sort of setting up of like, they're interesting. She's like, oh, how so? And he's like, you'll see how they're so interesting. Yeah, just a familiar thing of like just cringing, having to like go home to visit your family. And this is
Yeah.
very common for a lot of people, and also for Crispin in particular, because when we do see the family interacting, it's a lot. It's a whole lot. We also meet Paul and Aubrey. These are the parents.
Yes.
We get Barbara Crampton,
Oh my
film
God.
legend.
The phenomenal Barbara Crampton.
Hmm. She's amazing. because most of her work has been in horror movies. I've only come to know her over the past few years doing this show. Uh, but yeah, every movie she's in, she is a presence on the
Yeah.
screen. Yeah,
I
incredible.
wanted more of her in this movie, honestly.
Hmm.
But I love that we kind of set her up as the like fragile mother that's like
Mhm.
scared of her own shadow.
Mother's on medication. Like
Yes.
Crispin says that on
Yes.
the yeah.
Uh-huh.
Karen's on medication.
Hmm.
Very much that.
We're also gonna meet Crispin's brother Drake, who is a pretty aggressive doucher, and his wife Kelly. Both of them are addicted to Vicodin. We know
They're
this.
they're a treat.
Mm,
Right. Drake feels like he's still waiting to stuff somebody into a locker at any moment.
Oh yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you hit your 30s and you don't have any nerds to pick on anymore. It can really drive you crazy.
Yeah. Oh my God. Also the way he interacts with his father is just like
Ugh.
everything is like, you're the best dad. Oh, you're doing a great job, dad. Every
Yeah.
like you can actively see him like keeping a tally of what the will is gonna be in his head.
Hmm.
And for every compliment he gives his father, he's like, plus $200,000. Plus 200.
Everyone every one of Crispin's eye rolls at Drake, I felt deep in my soul. I was like, yeah, I'm on your side right
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah.
And you know, this is definitely like your classic like rich people family trope thing where everybody's angling for daddy. They want
Mhm.
daddy. I mean, they want daddy's approval in all the family stories, but we want daddy's approval because daddy has a will, and
Yeah.
daddy is the one who talks to the planners about how the will is broken out. And they clearly have lots of money, this family. We are also going to meet Amy,
Hmm.
the youngest, the baby girl of
She's
the
the
family.
baby.
Uh-huh.
She reminded me of that character from oh God, what's the comedy? Schitt's Creek. She reminds me of the girl from Schitt's
Oh
Creek.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
Alexa.
Yes, Alexis.
Totally.
Alexa. Alexa.
Oh, Alexa, right.
Amy has a filmmaker boyfriend named Tariq, played by Ty West.
Yes, played by actual filmmaker. There's a couple of that sort of what did they call it? I think I saw the word mumble gore as this
Mhm.
like the late 2010s 2020s this sort of genre of horror low budget kind of in like tightly scripted, so like almost like a throwback to 70s slow burn horror movies. But I
Hmm.
was like, this is clearly like we're keeping it in the horror film family,
Yeah.
the mumble gore family.
And
It
then
was
fun.
great. I love the note about like, oh, do you make commercials? I love commercials. You should
I
do
love
that.
commercials. You should do that.
Yeah, his Drake is telling telling Tariq like, yeah, I feel like I don't understand this whole starving artist thing. You can make great art just doing commercials. That's what you should do. This is one of my favorite things of like when people who don't work in your industry try to tell you how to make money in your industry.
Yes.
It's very good. Cecil, I've been thinking you should do more voiceover work.
Should
You
I?
have such a good voice.
Gosh, I
Um
should. I actually literally had somebody to be like, have you ever thought about working on the radio? And I'm like, I've thought about it. I did. But
yeah.
there's what? No, no. To be like a morning shock jock, just or like a, just reading the headlines. And now this Led Zeppelin classic coming to you live.
Cecil in the morning.
Yes,
I would
Cecil
love
in the
that.
morning, cup and show in the morning.
The thing a lot of people
Yeah,
don't know about auditions is that like auditions usually are empty. People have a hard time finding actors to try out for things. So, really actors tend to not get roles because they're just not trying very hard. They don't really know what they want to
That's
do.
it.
Most actors haven't really thought through the fact of like, I should audition for a thing.
yeah.
Um,
And you should just walk up and down Broadway handing out your resume.
That's
oh my
right.
God, great
Yep.
What you're
idea.
supposed to do.
And be sure to put your phone number and your address on that resume, all of your contact info.
Um, I worked at a theater once in Dallas, and we would get uh we weren't even like a union house, so we weren't even like a big deal or anything, but we would get people sending their headshots and resumes to us, and somebody sent theirs in, slid it into a paper bag, like a lunch bag sort of thing, and then hand wrote on the outside, "I can act my way out of one of these," and it's my
Okay, that's
favorite.
kind of funny.
I
Come
thought
on,
that was hilarious.
I mean, as a cover letter goes, it got
Uh-huh.
your attention.
Totally.
It's
We
amazing.
cast her. So let's see here. We've got I think. Oh, and then we have Felix, who's
Yep.
one of the middle brothers, and Z, his girlfriend, who Z arrives with like black hair, eyeliner, smoking a cigarette. She is absolutely like a goth dream girl. She has no interest in being there, anything. She has no interest in anything. I love her constant disaffected look.
And I was like, you're a bartender on the Lower East Side, aren't you? Absolutely
Z is
that vibe.
disappointed in all of us.
Yes. Now I love this is where, when the movie this simple, deceptively simple, I love the fact that every single member of this family, except for Aaron, are all in beige. The beige, like we see the
Mm,
family portrait, and it is woof. It is the family portrait is nobody's touching each other. It's like
yes.
it's like a sort of scary inverse of the Von Trapp family, but everyone is dressed in beige.
Hmm.
And the house too is lots of neutrals, lots of
Yeah.
brown, greige.
Greige, greige, gray, green, beige. Ugh.
I actually clocked the beigeness of this movie in that this is a very 21st century thing to me, horror movie, which is uh, beige undertones, like browns. The Strangers has this, The Invitation has this, any type
Mhm.
of, especially domestic type of horror, like in a house sort of thing. Like, it's those kind of like sepia beigey tones are they're depressing. Like they kind of take the energy out of a scene. And so I think a lot of horror movies use that to kind of create a slow seeping sense of dread upon all of us.
And also, once the blood starts flying, it looks that much
Yep.
cooler because it's
It
a
really
color
pops.
pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm would love to see more solid whites in horror movies so we can get the Dario Argento red splatter on white. Um, we can go back to that. I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're all getting together because this is Paul and Aubrey's 35th anniversary that weekend. So it's been a while since the whole family's been together, so we're getting together. That's what we're doing. So as Paul and Aubrey first arrive at the house before all the kids, we already kind of start with the scariness. Like Paul is in the basement doing something, but Aubrey hears footsteps upstairs. And the thing is, she tells Paul, this is a recurring theme too in many horror movies. We don't listen to people when they say, I heard a thing. And Aubrey is like, I heard someone upstairs. We have to get out of here. And he basically is like, no, we're good. I'll go investigate. I'll just carry this walking stick or whatever.
That did look like a pretty substantial walking stick,
It did. You
admittedly.
could get a good thump.
But yeah, we've already established on the way over there that maybe mom's a little crazy, right? Mom's on
Yeah.
medication. She's not okay.
Yeah.
And so then we have the scene where he's not listening to her. I got the impression that maybe her hearing things is something that's happened before, or her paranoia is something that's happened before, and he's over it.
Uh-huh.
Or she reacts out of proportion
Hmm.
to whatever the situation is. But listen, if you hear a noise and it jangles the chandelier a floor below,
Out.
that go
Get
check
out.
it. I mean, I would check it out at this early phase in the game. Even if it was like, I think I heard footsteps, I think I would still investigate rather than get out, though.
Yeah.
And the door was open when they got there.
That
Any
True.
see
comments
that
that the
I
door was
they're
open?
like, oh, it was just one of the workers must have left it. No, no,
No.
that's not how. What?
This
No.
is how we know that Paul's job at the defense contractor was just in the marketing department.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know, right? Not too great on the defense, the actual defense.
Okay, so now we've got, hold on, let me jump ahead here. Okay, so once all the kids arrive, um there's a moment between Aaron and Aubrey where Aubrey asks Aaron, "Hey, I forgot to bring milk. Can you walk over to the neighbor's house and ask for milk?" So we're setting up, the neighbors are unavailable because that's Eric and Aubrey or I'm sorry, Eric and Talia, and they dead. So we get the recurring theme of this one song that Talia had put on earlier. She had set that one song for infinite repeat.
I know.
So that is continually just playing over the loudspeakers at this house over and over and over again.
And we see that the killers we get this shot where Eric is sat up in the couch, like sitting up,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of a first indicator to me that like maybe they're not just mercenary killers, because why would they do that if it was just about efficiency?
Yeah, there's a method, or there's some trickery
Yeah.
going on here.
Yeah, these three killers are all tactical gear wearing guys. Like these definitely feel like a little bit like, yeah, organized we know that they're ex-military. But you're right, Juliana, there's a serial killer vibe to them. The way they kill people is
Yeah.
slasher killer way. Like, I'm gonna kill people in fun ways as opposed to just murder them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Crime of passion. Yeah.
yeah, or yeah, they're doing wild horror movie stuff. I mean, I sort of joke a lot on the show that horror movie villains act like they get paid by the hour, and because they take their time. They like scaring people. They like to kill people one at a time. You know, whatever. They like to
Also,
create chaos.
there are no guns in this movie.
That
This
is
is
true.
crossbows
Yeah,
are weapon number one, and
Meat
then
tenderizers and
axes,
yeah.
blenders.
the blender. I love it.
Uh, It does seem like the more efficient mission here is, I know the reason not to use a gun would be that's a lot of bullets to fire and that's a lot of noise to create that's going to carry.
Mhm.
But if you go in and just wipe out everyone with a gun and leave, you can be out of there. And since have no connection to the home, nobody's going to be looking for you,
Right.
sort of thing.
I mean, once we get into the, the reason for the attack, there is so much hubris going on of like, like, oh no, we got this. Like these killers, especially the three mass killers, seem overly confident,
Uh-huh.
almost to
Yeah.
the point of being supernatural in the beginning, where you're just like, how is this even possible?
Yeah, they were
That
like
they're
everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. But we realize it's just hubris. They're just
Yeah.
overly confident in their abilities because they're pulling a fast one on the family.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like the way the movie does this because the masks make the killers seem otherworldly. They seem superhuman, right? Like the first time they open fire is like pinpointing crossbow that not only shatters a window but loses no speed to the point where it can lodge into Tariq's forehead.
Mhm.
It can't pass through a chair though. It can pass through
No.
a guy's forehead, but not through a chair. But yeah, they seem undefeatable, right?
Yeah.
They're very scary. And then as the movie goes on, we get them cut up. We get one of them,
Yeah.
gets killed halfway through. We get unmasked, and we start seeing these guys are just middle-age-ish, 30-something, I don't know, beardy guys. A couple of them are balding. Like it's just they just look like normal dudes, not superhuman, scary uh, zombie killers or cyborg killers or whatever.
I really liked the choice to have them, when they get hurt, they all make really animalistic noises.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a normal scream, but it sounds like they have the animal mask on and they're like howling, making animal noises when
Oh
they get
yeah,
injured.
yeah.
So let's talk about dinner. That I think the most unnerving part of this whole movie for me is just the family conversation, just how
Hmm.
horrible this is. This is something I think I've talked about on the show before and what I alluded to in my intro, which was, there's a moment where Drake is needling Crispin about his relationship to Erin. He's like, "Oh, wasn't she your student when you started dating?" He says, "Yeah, she was my TA, and then I left that class because we thought that was inappropriate." So sort of setting the idea of like, yeah, we can't date each other and still be in this professional environment, so we'll switch over. And Drake does the mutter under his breath, like, "Oh, that's unprofessional." And he says it in the tone of judging them, but he's also saying it in a way of like, no, 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 I'm agreeing with you. And he starts this fight, and it gets Crispin drawn off sides, like 5-yard penalty, false start. Like he really baits him into this fight. And the parents are just like, "Crispin, shut up." And you're like, "Oh no, I know this feeling when somebody draws you into the fight and then you're the one because you escalated it, not started it."
You took the bait. You took the bait. But it seems like these two brothers have been at it their entire lives.
Yeah.
Like even in the beginning, they're like, I think there's like pro wrestling on the TV from the first moment they see each other. Drake's like, "Oh, he's got a big chubby face. I'm not, like this is their entire thing.
And Drake is like trying to play wrestle him immediately. Like Drake acts like he's 17 the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's looking for a locker to shove someone. He's looking for the line of your underwear to yank up over your shoulders. Yep.
Yep.
Like he can't have anything unless it detracts from somebody else.
Yeah. And he married an absolute delight in Kelly. She's so warm. That thing she
So
says
warm.
about Erin. Erin seems really annoying, and her Australian accent is really jarring.
I know.
Jarring.
That's terrible.
Jarring.
I mean, I love when Erin, I actually really love this little, you kind of talked about before, when Erin goes into the kitchen to ask Aubrey if she just needs anything, which even that simple question of, "Can I help with anything?" is like the look on Aubrey's face is like, "Oh, I don't think I've ever been asked that question in my entire life
She's
in
so
my
thrilled.
home from not a domestic, and you're just like, yeah. And she, of course, in true, sort of waspy fashion is like, no, I think I have everything covered." Oh,
Yeah,
but wait, you can go next door to the neighbor who you've never met and who have no clue where the neighbor is and ask him for something, but that you can do. Off you go, toodles.
And this shot of Aubrey alone in the kitchen when her house is full of people.
Yeah.
And like she's alone in there just doing dishes by herself.
Somebody told me this many, many years ago, and it's such a great here's a little life hack for you. Like if you are hosting a party at your house and you're making food, have things put aside for people to do in the kitchen. So when people come in and say, "Can I help?" you already have like a knife and an onion or a block
Chop
of
that
cheese
celery.
and a grater.
Yeah.
Yeah, just chop those, put that in the bowl. And it's already like set up for easiest access for them. Yeah, just chop that onion, chop this. So we're gonna make the mirepoix, just put it all into that metal bowl. Then they can hang out and you can talk to them. And people want to do a thing at a dinner party. So I wish I could have told Aubrey this. Now she's dead.
No, she's dead.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Because she didn't delegate.
That's it.
I love when they open dinner with the prayer, when Father leads us our, "Dear Heavenly Father, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for this," whatever. And you see a shot of the whole table and everybody's got a different face. Tag yourself, I'm Z, chewing gum and looking at the ceiling.
Yeah, it's a great shot just to see how each person is not paying attention in their own way.
Uh-huh.
I know. I remember, like early on in high school, I remember one of my English teachers saying that big party scenes, weddings, funerals, family dinner parties are a great way to get all of these disparate characters in one room and then kind of see how they react to each other. It's like a good way to bounce characters off each other. And this is definitely, I think you learn everything you need to know about this family just from this one dinner scene.
Yeah. It's really well done. I think it's so well shot here. It's really, really great. Well, Tariq notices something out the window, and so while everyone is arguing about it's Crispin and Drake escalating their argument with each other. He walks over to the window and full crash thump. There is an arrow in his head. It takes another 3 or 4 seconds for anyone to register what happened.
I was cackling at this point because they're just fighting with each other. He's literally got an arrow in his head, and they're still fighting,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
nobody has noticed.
No. They're the most important people.
Uh-huh.
They are the most important people, and what they have to say is very important.
This was
Somebody's dead? What? Huh?
Yeah,
What?
this death was the part where I was in that this was like definitely a comedy.
Yes.
I wasn't sure where it was going, if I was supposed to find it hilarious or not. And then when he turns around and you have that shot of an arrow sticking out of his head, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing.
This movie reminds me so much of like a horror movie version of Clue. Of like who gets what with where in what room.
Yeah.
And I think even the credits kind of give a nod to that because
Mhm.
skipping ahead all the way to the credits, but everybody's actor, like the actor name, and it has like their dead body
Uh-huh.
with how they died in a floor plan, like
Yeah.
of the house,
Yep.
and kind of like a little red X of like,
Yeah.
she bought it in the living room, he got it in the kitchen, he got it upstairs, he got it in the bathroom. I
And there's
loved it.
also
It's
like a very Home Alone element too.
yes,
Very
oh,
much, yes.
totally.
Like if Kevin McAllister were
Yeah.
allowed to live out his full potential.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
if Kevin McAllister were sent to a survivalist camp in
Yeah.
Australian outback.
Just who he would have grown up to be. I feel
Mhm.
like.
There's another movie that came out a couple years after this one by the Radio Silence team called Ready or Not, and we covered that, I think, for
That's
Patreon.
That was I was like, when we started, I was like, didn't we already watch this movie?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was
And
that movie.
yeah, and it's a similar thing of woman goes to her boyfriend's family's house in rich people land,
Rich People
and
Gone Wild.
rich people gone wild, and then they play games, and the game that they draw is you have to hunt the guest or whatever, and so she ends up having to hunt the guest. It's the one way I was beyond just the premise being so similar. Ready or Not definitely gives you constant comedic beats, and this movie doesn't really let you have the comedic beats for a bit. And um, you know, it like we said earlier, like the color palette is moody. The tone, the music is moody, and it is not until Tariq has this arrow in his head and people
Yeah.
are not registering it that you're like, oh, I see what you're doing, which I sort of enjoy, that we're immediately not getting into one-liners and
Yeah.
funny deaths and things like that, where it's just we're gonna slowly dole it out. And there's still a lot of like brutally sad moments in this movie too,
Oh, yeah.
particularly Aubrey.
Mhm.
All right, so this is when we see Erin is now in full like hunker down, like she's giving orders, telling everyone to get down, she's telling Kelly to stop fucking screaming.
Oh, Kelly. Kelly, girl.
Uh-huh.
I know, but she's like catatonic, or not catatonic, but she is taken over with the screams.
Yeah. Such good horror movie screams though. But
That's
Mhm.
true. That is very true.
yeah, it's like, get it together, girl.
I guess my first reaction is just everybody get away from the windows. It doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
In this moment, it doesn't seem hard watching it from the outside, but I'm sure it's not only these people are in this horrifying situation, but it's also these particular people are in this horrifying situation.
Yeah.
And we're going to learn, and as those particular people start to unravel, it's people who are used to getting what they want when they want, and how nothing can stand in their way because of money and privilege.
And if you just make enough noise, you'll get what you want.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You just have to yell about it a little bit. You have to
Uh-huh.
see the murderer's manager.
That's right. I would like to speak to the murder manager about my sister-in-law's death, because it was
But yeah,
very messy and it got all over my taupe Zara sweater. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I love Erin like dragging people to get
I
down.
know.
Like she's
Yeah.
literally pulling them down and trying to get people under the table. And, like
Yeah.
she immediately springs into action. Like there's no element of shock. Like you can tell that she wasn't expecting this to happen, but she also reacts in such a way that's disturbing because she's a little too cool
I know.
under this pressure.
Drake gets shot in the back with the arrow, does not die, but he complains a lot. And listen,
I
he has
mean,
the right to. He got shot in the back with a crossbow,
the
and it bet
fucking
it
like
hurts like a motherfucker.
shoulder blade.
Yeah.
This
And
is
then he
like, I
asks for
think
some Vicodin.
I know.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, yes.
Love
Yes.
it.
Give me like 2 handfuls of those.
Yeah.
Just not. I'm done. Knock me out.
But I love this conversation because they start talking about making a run for the car. Like we've got to, they're out there, but
Jiminy
who's the
Christmas.
fastest runner? And it's Crispin being like, I can do this. And Drake
Amy.
being like, I'm the faster runner. I just have an
I know.
arrow
I
in
know.
my back.
That was where I think the comedy. It's a comedy of not manners, but a comedy of personalities in
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
way.
just the one-upping.
I know.
Constant.
Even with an arrow in their back, they're under attack from unknown assailants, and older brother still has to be better than everybody else.
This is
And
Parenthood too.
peak younger sister Amy
Oh,
is like, you
no.
give me credit for anything. I loved it. He was like, I ran, what is it, 3 miles in 23 minutes? Something like that.
And
Yes,
nobody's listening to Aaron, who's like, this is a bad idea. Because it's clear, like, if these people are like shooting at you from
Uh-huh.
the outside, probably they've also fucked with your cars as well.
Yeah.
And also, don't go outside.
Right,
Yeah.
the phones don't work. There's a, there's a
Yeah.
cell phone jammer,
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna send our baby sister running out the door in
Oh
white
my
clothing.
in bare feet,
Uh-huh. Oh,
you
the
know.
bare feet cracked me up. She had to take her pumps off to. I'm like, listen, running in those shoes is a bad idea. Like bare feet
Sure.
is better. But surely you brought, we got to have sneakers, right?
Where's
Maybe?
your
I don't,
luggage? Yeah.
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 Just let's all pause before we send people running out of the house. Let this, I'm on Team Aaron. I'm voting her president of our
Yeah.
survival camp.
Survival camp. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Also, I love the fact that nobody ever checks to see if they have keys.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
No one. Like not even smart Aaron and turncoat Crispin, but like at no point is it like, oh, do you have the keys to the Lexus?
Yeah.
Right.
Like how are you gonna drive that car, girl?
Yeah. We had this with the movie Dead Snow because there's the people with the car keys who were going to get the car both get killed.
Get
And at
blown
the
up.
end, our final boy is the one at the car starting it up. I'm like, where did he get the keys? He wasn't
Right.
anywhere near those other people who died. How do car work?
Nobody knows.
But they're gonna send Aaron running out, or I'm sorry, they're gonna send Amy running out this door.
This beautiful slow motion shot.
What end?
So
Yeah, it's incredible. Her cracking her neck from
I
the back.
know. Like she's getting ready for track and field. It's the
Yeah.
most important day of her life. Here we go.
Juliana, did she really say I ran 3 miles in 23
Yeah.
minutes? That's
It's like a mutter. She's like walking off camera.
It's
She's like, nobody's ever
hilarious.
given me credit about how fast her cross country thing was.
a shade under an 8-minute mile.
Right, it's not even
Just
fast.
Usain Bolt. Yes. Okay,
She's
Flojo,
like,
let's do this. And
Oh my God.
she
that's a 5K. Like she just like sort of ran walk to 5K.
yeah,
That's about how fast I run, admittedly. So
that's right.
Yeah, which is fine, but it's not.
Yep.
This is not outrunning a murderer pace.
No.
yes.
So yeah, this slow motion shot of her running out the door, and then at the last second we see that garrote wire,
Yeah.
and then it immediately kicks into fast motion. Just throat is
Unbelievable.
open. She is on the floor.
So now we got, I don't know, the dead body number 3, I think, right?
Well, outside
Okay.
of the neighbors, we lost Tariq, and then
Yeah.
we lost Amy. That's
And
it
Amy.
so far. And
Yes.
Drake got hit in the back with the arrow, but he's
still
not
living.
dead.
So okay, so now, yeah, Amy done.
Yep.
I thought there was another in that first. I thought there was another dead body in that first one, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, we're all still here at this point.
Yeah, this shot, the 2 boys opening the front door on either
know.
side, and she's running out. It's gorgeous. And then, wow, it's been a while since somebody was garroted on the
Yeah.
screen when I was watching.
Yeah. Just
Right
just
across the front door.
be aware of your surroundings is
Yeah.
like, I love it. Like Erin is clearly like ultimate final girl energy, but a lot of it is just like, just be aware. Just,
Yeah.
maybe have less Vicodin and stop screaming and just look around you.
Yeah.
Look out the door before you run
Yes,
full
yes.
throttle.
Yes.
Like you have two people holding that door open, and no point they went, hey, wait a minute.
Uh-huh. So Mother Aubrey oh, well, first off, Erin is now like, we have to lock all doors and windows. Like,
Yes.
this
Oh,
is
thank
step one.
God. Yeah.
Crispin keeps questioning her, like, why are you doing this? Well, I'm like, Crispin, you're an idiot. Although we find out later that he's part of this whole thing. So,
Yeah.
of course, he's wondering why she's making it so difficult for the hired killers to come
I
do their job.
know.
She texts 911. I don't know if this was true or not. Maybe at a certain point, maybe it still is, but we have SOS functions on phones now, so a cell
Mhm.
phone jammer I don't think is going to prevent you from getting to emergency calls anymore. But she says, you can text 911 and they can, even with one bar, if it gets through, it gets through. So, also, he says to her, I love this line. He says, I've never seen you act like this before, Erin. She says, well, it's a unique situation, isn't it?
Yeah. I love when he's like, this side of you, I've never seen before. Because if he had known that side of her existed, he might not have brought her to his murder
Mm-mm.
party.
I know. Too capable. This
Mhm.
lady is too capable.
He just thought she was like an English lit major. He didn't know.
All
Yeah.
right.
But Aubrey, she's beside herself. Obviously, she just watched her youngest daughter and her boyfriend die in her house. She knows that they're all in for it now, and she goes up to her bedroom and is crying. She tells Paul, like, stay with me, and he's like, no, I gotta go check on these other things. So she's left alone in this fucking room.
No.
I said no at the screen. I was like, don't leave her alone.
I know. And then as soon as that hand comes out from under the bed,
Mm-mm.
It was one of my favorite shots in the movie is the overhead shot of the bed, and you're far away and you just see the hand come out before
Yeah.
we close up on it. It was great.
oh, thank you.
And this is it Wolf Mask who's under there? I can't
That's
remember.
Fox Mask, I think, is how they credit that. But yeah, you've got Foxy,
Wolf.
Lammy, and
Yeah,
Tigray. Like, those
that's
are our
it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
three
there you
animal
go.
masks. Foxy is the one in the house.
Who's been living in a closet, pissing into bottles for 3 days for whatever reason.
Yeah. Foxy is mostly machete. I believe Lammy is mostly crossbow.
Yeah.
They all kind of switch weapons around, but at
Mhm.
the start, and then you've got Tigray, who is blunt object mostly. He's the one with
Yes.
the
Oh, Hatchet.
yeah.
He seems the most psycho killer out of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he's the one that eventually, like just sort of sits back and admires his work at the other
Yeah.
house.
And the croquet move with
I
the axe.
know. I was like, you're
Yeah.
having a little too much fun with this.
It was
Totally.
great.
After he kills Aubrey, she screams right as she's being killed,
Yeah.
and they all rush upstairs. He somehow
It's
has
Clue.
time to not only she screams, the moment she screams is the moment she's getting killed.
Yeah.
Everyone runs upstairs, and what they see on the wall is "You're next" written in blood. And I'm like, you work fast
Yeah.
for
He's
handwriting
very
anyway.
fast.
Yeah.
And how did he get out? Because it's like a 2-story drop.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
But the
they show the
window's
window
open.
open, but yeah,
Was it a
did he
fake
just
out?
jump?
Yeah.
Maybe he's back under the bed, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's maybe. Or in
Oh,
that
well,
closet that they
Does he
didn't
just like
check.
it under there?
he does get back under the bed. We know this because this
Oh.
is when Kelly goes upstairs.
Oh, right.
After the scene, Kelly goes back upstairs, covers Aubrey's body with a sheet,
Yeah.
and then she hears creaking floorboards. And rather
That's
than
it.
get out, she looks under the bed and sees him there and is like, fuck y'all, I am out.
Yeah.
And she runs down the stairs, out the front door, ducks the wire
Oh
and goes
God.
running to a neighbor's house where
Doesn't
she
say anything to anybody. Doesn't say they're in the house. What I
Mhm.
saw, nothing.
she is pure panic.
Yeah.
Pure survival mode. We are not in team mode. We are in individual survival mode.
And we see her just shriek through the forest, and then one of the other killers just calmly comes out from behind a tree to
And
follow her. I loved that shot too.
yeah,
She's running, he's walking.
Yeah.
yeah.
Paid by the hour. He's like,
Paid by
I'll
the hour.
get to her. She'll tire herself out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That is it. They are all savoring the murder so much. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys are not tactically practical at all. Um you guys did not come to work quickly, and
Yeah.
working slowly is only going to increase your risk.
Yeah.
She gets to Eric's house, Kelly does, and sees him on the couch. Unlike Aaron earlier, she notices this guy and she's like, "Are you crazy? Open the fucking door."
Yeah.
And
I
T
love this
Gray,
shot. I love this shot where like the white mask just sort of like full, you can see the reflection
uh-huh.
just slow as can be
Yep.
appear right behind her.
And punches her through the glass
Oh my
door.
God.
Can you do that?
Listen, I don't know. I don't know. He spends a lot of time running her through glass because he also
Yeah, he
smashes her
does.
through the
To
glass
a
coffee
coffee
table.
table.
Yeah.
So we can get that classic horror movie shot of like a barefoot girl dragging herself
Uh-huh.
through
Yes.
glass
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
at the mercy of this guy on the couch that is not doing anything to save her because she doesn't know he's dead yet.
But she sees that he is, and then that she's pretty much immobile from injury at this point, and he croquets her with a wood axe, basically.
This
Yoicks.
is one of the
Yoinks.
most brutal murders
Hmm.
in the movie.
And then sits down to take a little breather and eat some string cheese and
And just
have a juice
marvel.
box.
Yeah. He's still got his mask on. He
Yeah.
does the little head tilt thing, which makes him, again, setting up this idea that these are like Michael Myers types, like
Yes.
undefeatable humanoid something.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, Aaron is in the kitchen grabbing, locking windows and things like that. And she gets her hair grabbed through a window uh, I think this is also Tigre. I don't remember whichever one grabs her through the window. And she has a knife on her and she manages to stab him in the arm. This is very Blood Simple. If y'all have ever seen Coen Brothers
Oh
Blood
yeah,
Simple, like stabbing the hand into on the other side of the window pane.
Yeah.
Like thumbtacks him to the window pane.
Uh-huh.
And then she turns around to get some other weapons out of the drawer because she's very smart
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
and turns around and he's gone.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
But this is our first blood. This is first blood
Yeah.
when it comes to the killers.
Hmm.
And we're like, oh, okay, great. They are harmable.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
they do kind of like you said, Juliana, they kind of cry like animals. They're not superhuman. They kind of mumble and groan like anybody else.
Yeah. Well, she Crispin is now like, I am gonna make a run for it. I think we're
What?
good. I know. It's
I think it's over.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it could. You know what? They just got bored. They're
Yeah.
done. I was like, where are
Um,
you going, dude? Where? I mean, clearly it's a ruse, but even with Amy, with them, they're like, no, we're gonna run for it. I'm like, you're like in the Hampton. You're like miles away from anything.
yeah.
You're in like Connecticut somewhere. Like where are you gonna go?
Yeah.
Just go run through the woods
It
willy-nilly.
it makes
Well, this
no
is where I was like, oh,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
this is
You,
sort
you
of the
might think
moment.
there's some conspiracy afoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, where Crispin is just like, I'm just gonna go take the car. It's fine. You stay
Yeah.
here.
I mean, you sort of instantly assume he's a bad guy just because he's the boyfriend of the protagonist at the beginning. But when he was like, "I've never seen you like this. Why are you texting?
Hmm.
What good is that going to do?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you're gonna have
Yeah.
to die."
You're asking
Yeah.
some pointed questions
Yeah,
in this moment.
you're not on the same side as your girlfriend here when you
Yeah.
are questioning her moves. Okay, so Erin is basically trying to rally the troops inside to fortify this place, and she has all of these knives and shit from the kitchen. She's like, first off, everyone take a weapon. We need to blah blah blah. And then Kelly's body flies in through the dining room window, tripping her up, and here comes T. Gray after her. She spilt all of the knives everywhere. So what does she do? Kicks him in the nuts,
I mean, clearly.
kicks out his knees,
Yeah.
and then just absolutely goes to town on the back of his head with a meat tenderizer.
She's so strong.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Erin is almost like she's just as strong as the killer. You're sort of establishing the superhuman strength. She has it too,
Yeah.
because that's very difficult to do. To like
Yeah.
Yeah.
bash somebody's head in like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like and I think it's not superhuman. It's like that access to adrenaline
Hmm.
as either a chaos agent, like I'm gonna run screaming out the door without saying, or I'm gonna like harness that adrenaline to fight back or to fight. And that's where we're like, oh, okay, actually, it's not necessarily planning or plotting or anything like that. It's really just being able to focus in the moment and like kind of the tactical thing of what now?
Yeah.
If you're being attacked, you better attack back.
I thought this actor did such a great job of showing that kind of adrenaline effect after. A lot of times
Yeah.
you'll see a death in a movie and the person who's done it is just like very cool, but her breathing is weird and you can tell she's shaken up by it every time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She's never like, this is fun and exactly what I expected to have happen. Like you can tell that she's really shaken up by that feeling of after you've done something in the moment that was necessary, your body starts reacting to all that adrenaline. I thought she did a great job of showing that thing that happens.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that she calls out what Felix and Z. They're like, thanks for your help, by the way, when I had psycho killers standing over
Yep.
top of me. And they're like, well, you seem to have it under control.
Paul he goes upstairs and is like investigating the house, and he cracks open this closet that he failed to look into earlier when he was searching the house. And
Mm-hmm.
inside this closet upstairs, he finds a sleeping bag and just bottles of piss.
Like, nobody was home, dude. You could use the bathroom.
Yeah, that
Two,
was my thing.
I was like, how
two
long have you
stars
been
for
in
this
there?
Airbnb.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God. This Airbnb, gorgeous exterior, but only one closet.
I took the bottles of piss to mean that that was from the night or two they were at the house, that person stayed in that closet in their bedroom,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah, yeah,
freaky.
yeah.
But
Oh,
also,
yeah,
like,
from the night prior. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that house is pretty well appointed with artwork and furniture and kitchen things, and to have a completely empty closet is a little weird to me. Because
Oh,
that
go
shit's
ahead.
that's gonna have boxes of books and stuff
Oh,
that you
yeah.
have. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like I like Paul's reaction to this.
Hmm.
It only lasts a minute because he does not hit TikTok. You're next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love his reaction that he's like, you can see this glimmer of we are being targeted. This is not a random attack. And you can kind of infer the fear of like, my fucked up job being a defense contractor is coming back to haunt me.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah,
gets real
totally.
panicky.
Well, power goes out. Um, so we've got Aaron is with Z and with
Felix, right?
Felix.
Yeah.
She's like, "Where's your breaker box?" And they're like, "It's in the basement."
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
They
They
know
sit.
exactly where it is.
Yeah, and they were like,
And they,
"We'll go upstairs and investigate. You go to the basement." And then we see Paul searching through like the pantry and just any other like nook and cranny of the house. There's a moment where we see one of the masked people in the distance as he like opens the pantry door to cover that character from view.
Yeah.
And when he closes it, you're waiting for the big jump scare, which you get, but it's not the killer. It's Felix and Z.
yeah.
You're like, "Hey, Dad."
Hey, what's going on? Because I think Paul was turning the breaker back on.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
So they know exactly where it is. They know dad will be there. I love that sort of misdirect. And
Uh-huh.
it's at this point in the film, you're like, oh, there's conspiracy afoot.
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah, it's Felix earlier in the movie that talks about like, oh, they have cell phone jammers. You can get them for like $30 on the internet,
Uh-huh.
and then later
Yeah.
we find out, yeah, because he's the one who bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also was like early on, Felix is clear kind of younger brother, he like clear obviously Drake and Crispin kind of suck the air out of any room they're in, but when a character doesn't say enough, you're like suspect.
Mhm.
Like you can kind of see the machinations of the screenwriter being like, oh, just forget about that guy. Just shush, 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 shush. And early on, I was like, sus. This
Yeah.
Yeah,
suspect.
Yeah.
middle sibling stuff,
I
Mm-hmm.
know.
like just trying to pretend to be pacifying everything, but just stirring shit in the background.
Yeah.
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 Taking bets on who's going to come out on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got Lammy shows up at the house. We've got, well, first off, after Dad, Paul, gets his throat cut in the
Yeah.
hallway in front of Felix and Z.
Yeah.
And he falls forward to like grab at his son, at Felix, and Felix's face is one of disgust.
Yeah.
Like, you dude, get
He, like,
off me.
yeah,
Oh,
he like pushes his hand off of him.
Yeah.
wow. Wow.
And then after Dad dies, we see Foxy show up next to this Felix and Z. And he berates Foxy for saying, he's like, did you have to do that right in front of me, bro?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Foxy just glares at him.
Yeah. And I
Lammy,
guess this
oh,
this
go ahead.
is this the official reveal
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in this moment of like who's behind everything,
Yeah.
Yes.
we think.
Lammy comes in and finds his buddy Tigray is dead in the
And
dining room.
he's so sad.
He's very sad.
How dare you fight back?
Yeah.
How dare you not just get shot and die easily so I can collect my winnings?
Yeah.
I love that he's so upset about the death of it's his brother. We find out it's his brother, and he's just devastated and enraged, and he's having more of a familial reaction to that than any of the siblings.
Yeah.
Now
In
I
the
don't know.
family.
I kind of questioned if it was actually his brother or if it is that like sort of we were like in the
Military.
army military together. So this is like band of brothers kind of
I think they
brother.
clarify it because Felix was like, oh shit, because when they get into a stare down and kind of a fight where
Yeah.
Lammy is about like, tell me a reason I shouldn't kill you, Felix. But Felix in this moment is like, I didn't know I didn't know he was your brother. I knew you were in the army. I thought you just meant brother,
Okay.
like
Okay. So he
army
does
brother.
clarify that. Yeah.
But like, oh shit, that was your actual brother.
Whoops a doodle.
Oops, a doodles, right?
But like those brothers love each other more than any of these siblings
Right?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. They at least have common hobbies.
Yeah.
But before that fight takes place between Felix and the killers, Lammy is like flipped the fucking dining room table in
I
rage, which looks
know.
like that was so much fun for
Oh,
Yeah.
no,
only the actor and not the stage crew.
that is the
A
best.
fully set table.
When I was in the Neo Futurist, somebody wrote a play that was like the actor's dream, and it was like each week an actor got to do like their dream role. And for me, it was just walking up to a fully set table and like just clearing everything off. It's so much
Yeah.
fun. It's
Yeah.
so satisfying.
Incredible.
This is a rock solid flip. Well, he is, he's angry and sad and all of this sort of stuff. And Aaron is at the basement door, hearing him moving around. She grabs a screwdriver just in case, like,
Yeah, I know.
any
I
weapon.
love it. No matter where she goes, she's like weapon, weapon,
Yep.
weapon.
Mhm.
This is a weapon. But there's something about that shot with like the light coming through the keyhole
Yeah.
that is so perfect.
Uh-huh.
And it's great because and it's also practical because now we're like, oh, thank God, Aaron is now up to speed along with the audience as to who the real baddies are in this film.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She makes a noise and he hears her, so he starts chopping down this door with his axe. So she's a little trapped here, but suddenly Drake wakes up from his blood loss stupor, his Vicodin stupor, and realize like he's got a little bit of a memory loss. He's not sure what's happening.
I mean,
Lammy turns to pursue him instead, and she comes up behind and stabs Lammy in the back with a Phillips head.
another stab in the. They love the stab in the back here.
Mm-hmm.
Like it happens like 4 times in the
Yes.
course of this film, because it's a pretty visceral response, but it doesn't take you out entirely.
No.
You know.
Yeah.
We're gonna elevate ourselves from pierced back to pierced heads pretty soon here.
Yes.
Okay, so now we, the audience, know Felix and Z have planned this fucking thing, and they come downstairs.
Oh, they lie. They lie about the death of Paul. They're
Yep.
like, oh no, he's taking a nap.
Yeah,
Is
right.
he? Really?
The
Uh-huh.
longest nap.
Yeah.
And they get, so Aaron is like, well, let's get, let's fortify. I guess we should fortify. Let's get to the basement. We need to get Drake to a place where he can be safe.
Yeah.
And that's the safest place because he's so wounded. Also, we can gather up weapons from the tools in the basement. And she shows Z how to build these nail board traps. Here's where we get into Juliana's Home Alone thing,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is
I
When
love
she
this
starts
scene.
rigging traps, I love it. I
uh-huh.
was like, let's do it.
And it's like the dialogue of this scene is so good. Like this is true. Like this is like Alfred Hitchcock tension, because we know Z is looking for any opportunity to kill Aaron.
Yes.
So she's just standing there looking at a ball, like a ball peen hammer, just like that or one of these, but also
Yeah.
getting more information. And this is where we get Aaron's background
Yeah.
about being raised as a survivalist in the outback. And it's also intercut with these nails going through, like tight close-ups of these nails. Oh,
That's so good.
like so stylish, but really subtly stylish, not 80s high fashion stylish. Mumble score, mumble
gore.
scare. That's it.
I love the shot where it's such a cartoony shot where Z is literally holding the board up.
I
And then
know.
Aaron turns around, she's like, oh,
Still
nothing.
What? Huh? What'd you say?
Just looking at this board.
I think my favorite line delivery in this movie is in this scene because Aaron gives the long story about the survivalist compound. You're like, oh shit, okay, well, this is going to make total sense now as to why you're so good at this. But it's also like a deeply sad story too, because it was like her dad was so paranoid and just like we have to sent the whole family to this survivalist compound. It was really terrible, but she has these skills from it. And Z goes, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, crazy, man. Like she's clearly like the wheels are turning in her head. Like, how the fuck are we gonna do this?
Yeah. In the basement, Felix tells Drake that Kelly is dead, which is something Aaron, when Drake had come to, Aaron had deliberately kept that information from him. Like she had lied to say, I don't know where she is. Meaning, like, we'll get to the point where I feel like you can handle hearing this. You're going to hear it, but not now. Now is not the time. But Felix knows it's not the time, so he kind of keeps rubbing it in.
He's needling him even as he's about to murder him.
And Drake is just like, shut up. Can you just shut up? Shut up. And Felix stabs him in the gut with a screwdriver. And then another.
And then again.
And then another. And like 6 of them. He's like, would you fucking die already?
See, this movie has one-liners.
Uh-huh.
I love that the only allusion we have to Paul, this house being Paul's like retirement fix-upper project, is how many screwdrivers there are in
oh
this
my
house.
God, yeah.
There's so many tools everywhere.
Yes.
The number of screwdrivers you have is a sign of how disorganized your tools are, because it means
you only
that
need 3.
Well, yeah, because
2.
it just means that you haven't kept them in the right places, so you keep losing them.
Yeah.
And then buying another.
Buying new ones.
Yep. Felix also says, when he says, would you just die already? He's like, you don't understand how hard this is for me as
Oh
he's
my
killing his brother,
God. Oh
which is the most
my God.
entitled
Oh my
thing
God.
you can say. It just like
Yeah.
it speaks to his entitlement. Yeah.
Think
Even
about what
even
I'm going through.
Yeah.
I know. I know you're making this so difficult for me. Already, like even before we get this sort of conspiracy twist, like you get the feeling that there is some sort of class warfare thing going on here.
Hmm.
Just because it's the ultra rich. And then you have these like people in kind of military combat boots. You don't
Yeah.
necessarily know how, if it's going to be a subtle thing or if it's going to be more spelled out. And I'm really glad that this movie, as opposed to say The Strangers, which is a little more vague, the mystery of who the fuck these people are and the chaos of it is the spookiness. But I really like the direction they went into this. No, this movie is as plotted as the movie Clue.
Hmm.
Everyone has a motive. Everyone has a, like a
Yeah.
very definite character motivation to be in the scene and to propel the scene forward.
So Aaron finds Paul's dead body upstairs, on the bedroom floor. And then here comes Lammy or whoever with the machete, and she's like, I got one option here, and that is to throw myself out this fucking window.
Like not even a second of thought. And this is where like editing in horror movies is really like so stunningly done. Yeah, she's like, look up, out the door or out the
Yeah.
window.
Yep.
I mean,
Which is great. I was so excited because, usually you're begging your hero to get out
Yeah.
of
yeah,
the house. And I love and they linger and wait and stare. And I'm like, I'm glad she just
she does it.
yeeted herself
Yeah,
from the
yeah, I know,
second floor.
right?
This is so funny too, because like this is kind of, this movie comes out, it originally premiered in like 2011, but it didn't get mass distribution until 2013. But in 2011, like I think we're like kind of at the height of girl boss era, and this is a movie by almost all men featuring a woman at the center who's a badass, right? Like, so there is this thing of like, this is great. Like, this is whatever, hashtag girl boss. We've got this going on, which is really, but I do want to say, for this era of, I can imagine in writing the movie, the question is always like, what is the smartest thing to do in this moment? Which, this is a low bar to clear, but like, we hadn't been doing that in horror movies for our
Yeah.
final girls, because our final girls are our final girls, but in a lot of ways there's a lot of circumstances why they're free, and this
Mhm.
is a case where in every way that she is alive is because she is determined to be alive,
She's earned it.
and she's earning it. She's making
Yeah.
choices that are paying off.
This is where she really subverts that trope because like the scholarly idea of the final girl, like the analysis is that they've been sort of innocent, morally pure, stumbled into a situation, and the way they survive in the end is they have this hidden reserve of strength that comes out, or someone else saves them,
Yeah.
like at the last minute, where they've confronted him, the killer.
Yeah.
And she's just like on it from the beginning. There's no hidden reserve of strength. She's all strength, all smarts
Yeah.
the whole time.
So, she does get a shard of glass into her
Oh,
thigh, which is
rough.
looks brutal. So we've got to not only watch her slowly pull this out, but hear her slowly pull this out.
Mhm.
It's also the way she grips it, like with the edges. I was like, no, two
No,
fingers,
pinch,
two
pinch,
pinch.
pinch.
Yes, pinch, pinch. But I love this. But again, talk like Juliana, but like going back to this idea, like she's in this moment of distress, and then she hears like a twig snap,
Mm-hmm.
and she's immediately brought back to the present circumstances of I'm still being like
Mhm.
it's really amazing, like this actress, like how smart this portrayal is of like I got to pull the shard of glass out of my leg and how much that hurts, which would in a traditional or horror movie from the 70s, 80s would be a whole meal unto itself. But
Uh-huh.
we kind of leave that behind. She's like, nope, tourniquet on, boom, flashlight out of the pocket, ready to go.
Yeah. She doubles back to the house and ducks into this like little hiding space behind a curtain that they had
Oh,
built earlier for
best
Drake.
hiding space.
And this is where we have the showdown between Felix and the two remaining killers. And so she's overhearing all of this. So now she knows what's really going on in this. Um, Felix's plan here is basically, I will pay you guys more. You're just gonna have to
Yep.
wait until I get the inheritance. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay, first off, don't do almost anything on spec. Okay, like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
I want half up
as
front.
I know we have to invoice people. I know we have to do in our jobs, we have to do a lot of work before we get the check. But generally speaking, there's an official contract and an agent and all kinds of things in between that assures that will happen. Do not do things on spec, one, and two, do not wait for inheritance or insurance payouts to pay that
Yeah.
bill.
How long is that going to take?
Oh, if it even comes through, like if
If it even comes
there's,
through.
yeah,
And please, like Felix and Z are not going to disappear to like Colombia in that time and
no,
skip out on the tab because
no,
that's absolutely who these people are.
Oh yeah, that's the plan, right? Is
yeah,
we're gonna make this happen and then we're not gonna have to pay them.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, they should have gotten a deposit.
Yeah.
yeah. So she she accidentally gets herself revealed because her phone rings because
The
it's
911, the 911
911
text went through. Yeah.
got your text message. So fuck. That's good news, bad news. Yay boo.
Emergency message received.
Oh man. Blew up my hiding spot.
I love that Foxy slowly walks over to these curtains she's hiding behind and she just steadily watches him and then just throat
Like,
chop.
yeah, like
Adam's
right in that
apple.
windpipe.
Oh, it hurt to watch. That one hurt to watch.
Yeah.
She goes running out of the house. Smart move. Go running out of the house, have them pursue. My thought is keep running, but she probably also knows how isolated they are. So I don't quite know the terrain around here, but she doubles back to the house. So they've all gone pursuing outward. She's run back into the house. Lammy, I think, hears something and turns around to poke his head in to the window. Are you in here? And then she gets a knife into the forehead.
Yep.
He does.
Now
She does.
at this point, the masks, I was like, these are more of a liability than anything else for you guys.
100%. Yes.
It was right around here that I was like, I know they look cool.
But peripheral
But
vision would have been really helpful
peripheral
for him in that
vision.
situation.
And it's even like, he kind of peeks in the window and he sees one layer of the boards with spikes, but doesn't see the second. I was like, if you didn't try so hard to look like a badass,
yeah.
you might be doing a little better. But no. They have to and it makes sense when they kind of when Crispin has his big final thing of like, we need, there needs to be a level of us versus them in this. But at this point in the film, I'm like, dude, that's a liability. Oh, and you're dead. Okay, there you go.
You know what a normal killer who wants to hide their face would use is just a balaclava.
Yeah.
Just
Even as like a half one.
Yeah.
Even as like a,
Yeah.
Do you think they were on their way to this job and were just like, let's stop at Party City?
Shall we go with a theme? Let's see. Presidents, no, that's been done. William Shatner, no, that's been done. I don't know.
Animal mask.
Animal mask. It's also the era. Like there were a lot of animal masks, creepy animal masks in movies, in the horror movies around this time.
So, so she's got Lammy dead. She takes his axe. She goes to the basement and gets a brick, and then she rigs up a whole axe on a swinging hook that will be activated by anyone who opens the front door to get an axe to the face.
The close-up shot of her tying the knot in the string and like rigging this up to the door was beautiful.
So good. But also like so dangerous.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
Another Home Alone moment.
Another deadly Home Alone. I thought, I had forgotten that, Crispin is in on this. And I was like, oh, Crispin's going to get that. Like he's going to come, Is
Yeah.
it safe? And he, thinking he was still on the good guy team.
Uh-huh.
And that was how it was going to end. But I'm glad that I don't know. I was reading this like tectonic theater book about having like balls up in the air. Like when you're making something like this, you want to throw as many things up in the air as possible. And then like the audience is like, oh, when is that going to go off?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you later catch each ball when you want to, or when to like make the tension that creates suspense, that creates interesting to watch stuff. But
Yeah.
that, like, there's just an axe suspended above, like literally Damocles sword above the front door. You know that's gotta end not so pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. Um she uh she goes down into the basement because actually she has to go down to the basement
Yeah.
because at this point Foxy has made his way back and he sees her and she goes running down into that basement. She breaks every light bulb so it is pitch black, sets up her camera to be on auto flash. So it's just like
Yeah.
taking a flash photo of this classic early 2000s digital camera set up on a table. And this dummy should know better than to go
Right?
into that basement without a light of his own. But this
Right?
movie is playing off of the you guys can't let a girl beat you. That gets
Yeah.
said a couple of
Hmm.
times.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that they're up against hashtag girl boss
That's right.
and
Survivalist girl
survival girl
boss.
boss. Yep. She when he gets right up on that camera, she comes up behind with a fire log and just brains him and brains him and brains him.
This sequence this is actually like, I think one of the where I was like a little like cringe because it's so brutal. And there's something about the flash photography
Hmm.
of it. And I think what made me like this scene, as opposed to all the other violence that we've witnessed or prior, is the fact that now there's a record. Like I kept thinking of like imagining, the first photo in the series of photos is the three guys, dad and the two sons at the grill. And then it
Right.
like literally like when you're
Oh
scrolling through
yeah.
your phone in public. And clearly I had this conversation with my boyfriend. He was like, went to go have some photos printed out at like Walgreens or something, and it just opened up all of his photos. And he's like, delete,
Oh yeah.
eject. Because if you do that to a homosexual, chances are there's going to be some stuff that you can't be showing in public.
You
But
scroll too
like,
far.
if you scroll too far, but like just the remembering of, Jeffrey knows I talk about this a lot. When the movie ends is often when the police arrive. And in my mind, that's when the procedural of like, how the fuck are you going to do this paperwork
Uh-huh.
begins. And the idea of finding this camera 8 hours later, and they're like piecing together the mayhem that happened in this house. And it's like a photo of mask guy, and then just like 20 photos of this woman beating the fuck out of him. I was like, I don't know, like in that moment, like all of that kind of truncated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Uh,
strobe effect too, as a viewer, was just extra creepy and added this extra
Oh yeah.
layer.
yeah. And also like you sort of presume with the Fox mask guy cuz he's on the posters, he's kind of like the one of the first real villain we see that we you presume he's the final boss, but he's
Mm.
not. Final bosses are Felix and Z.
The
But
final boxes are Crispin.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Who's
Um,
pulling like they're the puppet. So once you kill the puppets, you then got to kill the puppeteers.
yes.
Hmm.
So I just wrote in my notes after she gets out of the basement killing Foxy, I just wrote, "Wish you were safe, girl." She is not
Oh,
because she gets crossbowed in the back by Felix.
again, that they love that back. What is that like shoulder blade area?
Yeah.
Owie.
The difference in survival, we've talked about this in lots of horror movies, which is people's and I might be one of these people in real life if I were in this situation. People have an inability to kill shot someone. And the thing that makes Erin so special, it's so brutal the way she pounds these two killers' heads in, but she always makes sure they're dead.
She's finishing the job.
We've seen a lot of movies where they stab the killer in the gut and then run away without the knife. Like,
Mhm.
one, make sure he's dead. Two, take the weapon with you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they don't do this. And here is kind of what Felix does too. Like, he fires the one thing, and he knows he's got 2 bolts to fire.
I think he shoots it like from afar, shoots and misses her, and he's like, I totally got her, right? Oh
Yeah.
man.
They
That's
smile
right.
about it. Felix and Z like smile at each other.
Yeah.
Like, yay.
We get this fantastic kitchen sequence where she's
Oh man.
fighting Z and then having to fight Felix, and then she's choking Z. She clocks her with a fucking pot. Z gets back up, jumps on her back, bites her hand. It's just all kinds of chaos. But she eventually cracks this blender over Felix's head, plugs it in, and
I know. I
drives
must have
those
like
blades
the
straight out.
His
the
head.
close up of the plug-in, just like how dainty and delicate.
Did she use the chop setting?
I know, right?
That's what I
Yeah,
Pulse,
wanna know.
yeah.
What
Pulse,
setting?
pulse.
Pulse.
Liquefy. And then kind of the look on Z's face of like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I'm in this. Like, I don't know. Do I switch sides? But she gets like, I think she like knifes Aaron. But then Aaron just fully like she puts that knife into Z's cranium like a motherfucking party hat.
Yeah.
Straight up and down.
Yeah. Yeah, like a tent stake. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
All
Also,
right.
like the way that Z kind of falls over after that happens is hilarious. The shot
Yeah.
is really funny. It's as though she's gotten hit over the head with a cartoon frying pan
Yeah.
and just sort
Oh
of
my
like
God.
drifts off to the side.
Speaking of Z and Felix, how have we skipped over the I want to fuck you next to your dead mother scene?
Oh my God, I'm
You
so
never-
sorry.
You never want to do anything interesting. Might be one of my favorite lines in the movie.
Oh my God. I love it. Because at this point in the film, we like you said, Juliana, you're like, are we supposed to like, is this going to be one of those intense, bleak horror movies in which everything is dire? But and this scene, I was like, that's your, and then they call it out just how morbidly funny it is.
That she's trying to seduce Felix on. Yeah, because I was watching this, I was like, did they already move the mother's body?
No, they did
Because
not.
she's covered with a sheet. But
Yeah.
then Z, he's like
leaning back on his mom's thigh.
Awful.
oh, she is a ghoul.
Yeah.
And
She's
I
terrible.
love her.
I know, right?
Yeah, this is the time that she decides to like have a conversation about their relationship not
I
being
know.
spicy enough.
Like, if I was an acting teacher teaching a class in film acting, like, there's so many good scenes from this movie because it's all about tone, like what you're saying on the page versus how you say it and what you do with your face and like what you can add to it is so really well done in this movie.
Mhm.
Because it's kind of campy and kind of funny, but if you just read it on the page, you're like, this sounds laughable. But then when you see it performed, you're like, okay, this is actually kind of camp.
Yep. Well, Z died doing what she loved, which is looking completely indifferent to everything around her.
That's right. Smoking a Marlboro Red.
Yep.
I also
Oh,
love
you
in
don't
that
think she's
scene-
an American Spirit orange person?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I love in that scene when we've seen the pot of water boiling earlier in the
Yes.
movie.
Oh, yes.
And
Yeah.
Aaron goes to grab the pot and throws the water on Felix, and he's like, "It's not even hot. Like it's just been sitting there for a long time." So that foreshadowing of the boiling water ended up being also a comedic moment.
And then
But
he
then
slips
immediately
on
trips
it.
on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like he's so full of hubris
Yeah.
of like,
Yeah.
oh please, you can't even, and then whoop,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
fucking banana peel.
I think it's actually boiling oil she
Yeah.
had done,
Oh,
which
oil,
is
okay.
even
Yeah.
more hardcore.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of yellowish looking and he
Right,
slips on
right.
it. So I think it was just like
Yeah.
deep fry some oil, get that at 450 degrees.
Again, very smart decision because that
So
you can't
smart.
that's such a worse burn than a water burn.
Oh my
yeah.
God. Then Felix's phone starts ringing And because we saw him shut off the cell phone jammer earlier, which
Mhm.
is kind of dumb. Like,
Oh,
wait till the whole thing's
yeah.
done, dummy.
Yeah.
Um, and it is Crispin, and he's like, "Hey, man, is it all done in there or what? Come on, Felix, I can hear you breathing. What? Tell me what's happening." Sorry for not helping. I'm a pacifist. I just had to get out
I'm
of
a
there. I can't
pacifist.
handle
I
all of that blood and
know.
stuff. It's what's more American than that? Like, I
Yeah.
cannot handle the blood. So but also I'm
I
very
w-
pro-war. I
and
really
I
love
want
Yeah.
to
that we send
benefit.
drones overseas
Yeah.
and don't have to like put anyone on the ground because that's just so
Ah,
grody to get to
Because it's
see it up
icky.
close.
I
Yeah.
know. Culpability.
I want to be confronted with the consequences of my own actions.
Mm-mm.
No, you're making me do this, and you're making my job very hard by you not dying the way
Yes.
that I would like you to.
I need you to die off screen is
Yeah.
essentially what
Hmm.
he's saying. Yeah. And
Hmm.
it's very funny that his father is a defense contractor or works for a defense contractor because that is what we do in American warfare is
Yeah.
send drones to places far, far away that we never really see what's happening.
Hmm.
Then he comes in. He's like, Aaron,
Oh,
hey.
what?
Ooh, thank God you're
I'm
okay.
I'm so glad you're okay. And she's still holding the phone to her ear
Yeah.
when he walks in.
He is in full like I wrote on my notes like why do you he's talking he's trying to talk his way out of this. But I wrote like why does he keep stepping toward her? Which is stupid, but I also the more I think about the scene, I don't think it's stupid in his mind. I think he thinks he can talk his way out of everything.
Yeah.
He's always been able to manipulate some shit.
Yeah,
And he's
and we've gotten the impression that this isn't the first like student he's been involved with. So I think
uh-huh.
there's also he's used to having a certain power dynamic
Yeah.
with these girls that he hangs out with, and
Uh-huh.
she is not the same kind of girl that he's used to being with.
No.
Yeah. He's used to the kind of girl that was Talia in the beginning.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
like screwdriver, you're like, oh, okay, fuck, I'll just get it over with. It's also like creating a false sense of intimacy. It felt very like not let's make a deal. What's it? Shark Tank? The like he's giving like the power broker speech.
Mm-hmm.
Like here's my TED talk on why you should go with me, and we should become a murder couple. You're gonna be rich, girl.
And
What?
again, like here's the guy that we were sort of set up to be as though he's different from his family, but
Yeah,
ultimately, like the motivation for money and greed, he assumes that everybody has that.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't see a reason why she wouldn't, you know,
yeah.
like now we're going to be even rich. We only have to split it. We don't have to split it anymore.
No, right?
Yeah.
You could have $500,000 next week.
Yeah.
I was
Daddy's a
like, five
You
defense
hundred thousand dollars.
contractor.
I
Yeah.
want
Mm-mm.
I've seen this house from top to bottom. 500. That's a starting bid, my
Do you
Yeah.
friend.
know how much you can get in a civil lawsuit if you can prove this level of
Yeah,
trauma? It's
yeah,
way more than $500,000. I
yeah,
assure you of that.
yeah. But
And I
again,
love
but
that
I
his
kind of like.
alternative, sorry, I love that his alternative is, or I could go to prison. And
I
she's just
know,
like,
And you
yeah,
I
would get
know,
nothing.
you would get nothing.
and it's like that idea of nothing, but you keep your fucking soul.
Hmm.
She this is the only moment where I was like, I think you made a bad decision here because you need someone alive that
Yes, that they
because
can
if
pin it
all
on.
of the conspirators and killers are dead and you're the only I was thinking about this in this moment of like, don't
Yeah,
kill him.
yeah,
Do not kill him. I mean,
because you're gonna look like
you
the
may
bad
need to
guy.
injure him, but
Yeah,
she neck stabs him, and then as she eye stabs him, we hear a gunshot and she gets dropped. Gunshot to the shoulder. There is
in
a
the shoulder
cop in the
again.
yeah, and there is a cop in the window.
Yeah.
Barney Fife just like didn't say anything. Just shoot first. Ask
Hmm.
like
Well,
no
because
stop.
he saw her murder somebody, so I'm sure he
That's true.
assumes that she's the one doing this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this cop. I love him looking through the window and just being like, you can tell he's like nauseated and really
Yeah.
thrown. He's like, I'm gonna need backup.
yeah. I know. It's like we need ambulance and we definitely need backup because this place is a mess.
Um, so he decides before backup gets there, let's just go in through the front door.
What could go wrong?
Oh, our Chekhov's axe.
Yes.
Uh, He opens that front door. Aaron realizes what's happening. She's like, don't open the...
Oh, I know.
Great ending. Just right at the camera. Axe swings right towards the camera. Blood splattered. It says, you're next. Adorable.
Beautiful. Very funny.
Shall we rate this film, y'all?
Yes, let's.
All right, so I'm going to give a rating to this film for how approachable is this movie if you're a horror movie squeamish. Maybe Juliana, since you and I come from similar backgrounds of horror movie squeamishness, you can help with this rating. My rating is on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being like, don't go near this movie at all if you're horror movie squeamish. 10 being like really approachable, like Over the Garden Wall, a delightful, spoopy animated romp is a 10. I don't. I feel like I'd give Your Next like what, like 3 CD carousels, 3 CDs in your CD changer out of 10. I think you and I, Juliana, both had a pretty easy time with this movie because it is so funny. But man, it is real bloody, real fucking graphic, throat slitting and shit for such a low budget movie. This was like
Yeah.
under $1 million made or to expense. The jump scares are ample. And it's bleak at points, despite all its comedy. I mean, watching Barbara Crampton sob at the death of her baby daughter and then get murdered that's a level of slasher tragedy that's pretty tough.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I would say like, yeah, 3 blunders, 3 out of 10 blunders.
Yep. Mhm.
Because there are a lot of comedy deaths, but it's actually not those real moments of grief are a little brutal. The one other murder, the Kelly's murder, is also really rough, I think. That
Yeah.
it kind of overrides some of the funny ones.
Yeah. Cecil, what about you? You will rank this, give a rating to this for like where it fits as a horror movie in general.
The canon of horror films. This one's, I gotta say, it's pretty high up there. Like
Yeah.
I'd seen it before, remembered it kind of, sort of, but then what? Enough time had passed that I had forgotten more the subtleties of this movie,
Hmm.
and it's a fun fucking ride,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit smarter than you think it is.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh god, okay, another home invasion movie, but it's got some twists and turns. Like I said, it's like Clue, except violent, except actually violent, as opposed to
Yeah.
actually funny. So for that reason, yeah, I'd say like 8 out of 10. Cell phone jammers.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
This is also just a quick note that the director is Adam Wingard, who we've covered on this show before with in VHS. When we talked
yeah.
about VHS, he did the interstitial tape 56 or whatever that was called, the interstitials in the first VHS movie. And is now doing like Godzilla versus Kong and shit like
Yeah,
that. So yeah,
like huge.
he's doing great. Pulled it together. So let's figure out what movie we're gonna watch next. Cecil has a scare die. I have a style die. We'll roll these up, see what movies might match these two things. So Cecil, on your scare die, if you roll a 1, our next movie scare, Isolation. 2, mythological. 3, aquatic. 4, bad mom or bad dad is our scare. 5, animals. Or 6, body horror.
That's a 5.
We're going to finally get that animal scare
Woo!
we've always wanted.
It's been on there for months, it feels.
It's been a while. Okay, great. So we're going to match up animal scare in our movie with the style I roll. If I roll a 1, our style is a movie made in the Southern Hemisphere, whatever countries fit that bill. 2, wild card, whatever animal scare we want. 3, a black and white picture. 4, female director. 5, a low budget film. And 6, something sci-fi. So let's see what we got with animals versus the style. Is 4, female director, animal attacks. Boy, we may need to lean on our letterboxed
A little bit.
followers.
Hey,
But I had one that I came up with for this. Just one that matches
Yeah.
female directed movie with an animal scare. Juliana, if you have any thoughts or ideas, please chime in. But I'll tell you what I wrote, which is Hatching, which is a hold on, let me pull this up real quick.
this looks wild.
Hatching is a 2022 film that is coming up on my screen right now. There we go. Hatching is a 2022 film directed by Hannah Bergholm. 12-year-old Tina is desperate to please her mother, a woman obsessed with presenting the image of a perfect family. One night, Tina finds a strange egg. What hatches is beyond belief. I don't even know what hatches in this movie, but it is an animal-looking thing of some kind.
Yeah, I got nothing. I don't know.
Let's check in to see if anybody on Letterboxd had any good ideas for us, because I was a little stumped on animal
I know.
movies.
Does Pet Cemetery count as
It
an
definitely
animal attack?
does,
But you've done
Oh,
have you
yeah.
done it
but we've
already?
covered Pet
Yeah.
Cemetery
Yeah.
before.
Let's see. So we've got quite a few. Got quite a few here on Letterboxd. A lot of them are seconding each. We have a very popular one, which is Cocaine Bear.
Oh,
So comedy horror again,
okay.
kind of living that comedy horror.
Based on
Maybe
a
a little
true
more
story.
based on a true story, filmed in northern Georgia, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got quite a few people. Katie, Ashy Slashy, Jay Harsey, all of those love that. Destination Hellmouth, all of them, Cocaine Bear.
Okay, great.
Squin recommends Candyman and admits maybe not the primary scare, but there's definitely bees.
Uh-huh. Yep, we got the new Candyman. Yep.
Okay, what do we got here? Katie also recommends Sea Fever from 2019. This movie I do not know.
I don't know Sea Fever. Nisa Hardiman. The crew of a West of Ireland trawler marooned at sea struggle for their lives against a growing parasite in their water
Ooh.
supply. Parasite is animal.
Yep.
It is not vegetable or mineral. So
Sort of creepy Ireland scares.
Mhm.
We got going there.
I love
Let's see
creepy
what else we
Ireland.
have. Sort of more monster animal. Katie also recommends Humanoids from the Deep from 1980 and The Lure, which is kind of like siren call sea
Okay.
monster girls. Let's see. Weaponized Sorcerer seconds The Hatching, The Lure, Sea Fever. Ganymede's Cup recommends Amulet from 2020, a British horror film from Romola Garari.
Garai?
Garai? Garai.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. My reading skills. And I love Ganymede's Cup. They just went bats! Exclamation point.
Okay. I love bats.
Love bats! Exclamation point. Let's see. Fifth Hammer seconds Humanoids from the Deep. Fish monster, scary, swinging 70s fish monster. Could be kind of fun. A thirding for Humanoids, a fourth for Cocaine Bear. And Nicole Davis recommends Hiss with 3 S's from 2010. They admit the effects are terrible, but somehow Jennifer Lynch convinced Irfan Khan to be in it.
Okay, great. Oh, yes. Oh, I know Hiss. Yes, of course. There's one more on there that who did we get this from? This was from Destination Hellmouth. Recommended Body at Brighton Rock.
Oh, wow.
Which is a 2019 film directed by Roxanne Benjamin. When an inexperienced park ranger finds a dead body under mysterious circumstances on a remote mountain trail, she must guard it overnight until authorities can arrive, forcing her to confront some of her deepest, darkest fears. I believe one of those deep, dark fears is the bear.
Bear.
Who comes after it's a bear. I love bears. Okay, we have some good ones in here. Hatching seems to be a rock solid one. This looks weird and gross and interesting.
Weird and creepy. Yeah, like maybe some weird puppetry involved, which I love.
I love
because
that
I'm also
too.
like I don't even think about it. I'm like, what's gonna hatch?
Yeah.
What's gonna come out of that giant egg?
Cocaine Bear, I haven't seen in the realm of popular comedy movies. It looks fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
It is.
It is more like 80-20 comedy to horror, I would say.
Yeah.
It's like great. And there actually are some really kind of fun jump scares, but it is mostly funny.
Yeah.
And less spooky.
Another one I'm kind of interested in, because a lot of these, one of the things we had talked about before in having female director on the list was going to skew contemporary.
Sure.
Because not a lot more women being, given the chance to direct now.
Yeah,
But one that's on here is an older film is Humanoids from the Deep.
I want to look this up.
Is a 1980 just, I don't know, rubber monster suit looking shit. It looks gory as fuck. Directed by
This movie looks wild.
directed
Wet
by
and
Jimmy
wild.
Murakami and Barbara Peters. After a new cannery introduces scientifically augmented salmon to a seaside town in the Pacific Northwest, a species of mysterious mutated sea creatures begin killing the men. Oh, killing the men and raping the women.
Yikes.
Okay, that could be a thing. All right, I hadn't read the whole description before I said.
This
Okay.
is the danger of mass food manufacturing.
That's
yes.
it.
Yes.
Eat that chicken. It's chicken of the sea.
Yes.
See.
An amulet has bats in it.
Oh yeah, amulet. Oh yeah.
Amulet bats. I have seen the new Candyman. We've covered the original for the show on one of our early Patreons with Sarah Griff. If you're a Patreon member, go back, watch that, listen to that. It's really great. But I don't know that I think bees might be too not
Those
quite
bees
directly.
are a side effect.
Yeah, they are.
They are. No, yeah.
They're not there to attack or nothing.
I don't know. So we've got like super art house, very artsy fartsy, like it just looks like a girl like nursing a giant egg in her bed that is like immaculately made.
Yep.
We've got the 80s super campy salmon fish humanoids
Yep.
eating people, raping people.
Uh-huh.
Amulet looks kind of dark and interesting, but I think we may be more like in the vampire-y territory. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
It looks kind of interesting though.
Yeah. This is English film, I guess.
Ex-soldier living homeless in London is offered a place to stay at a decaying house inhabited by a young woman and her dying mother, but can't quite shake the suspicion that something sinister is going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering if bats is vampire-y sort of thing. Yeah. Okay. I'm liking all of this. And then Sea Fever, which is not, I don't think in the spirit of us having animal on the list, but it is an animal. It's a parasite.
Sure. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Very tiny animals.
Very tiny animals. Juliana, I want to ask you, you've heard us ramble on and on about all of these movies. We love putting this in the hands of our guests to nudge us in the right direction. Like, what do you think we should do here?
Oh gosh, I saw Cocaine Bear in the theater and had an amazing time.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like if you haven't done one that just makes you laugh a lot anytime recently, that might be a good choice.
Okay.
I love a movie where like you're rooting for the monster and you definitely root for the bear in the whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cecil? Do you think should we skirt off of horror into the wild west of funny comedy?
Yeah, why not?
With horror bits and elements.
Yeah.
You know what? We're going on tour. Let's do something sort of fun and exciting and
Cocaine Bear. Come on, like the best title of a film.
Incredible.
In
Elizabeth
many
Banks' debut as a director, I think too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And she knocks it out of the park too.
And the cast is great. The whole cast is hilarious. They're wonderful. It's a great ensemble movie.
And
I think that's a great choice.
I think it is too. And our Letterboxd followers all agree. There were so many people that threw out Cocaine Bear there. So, well, shit, let's do that. That was fun. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cecil, for talking with me. Thank you, Juliana Finch. It's so delightful to see you again. Juliana, where can people find you and your work in this world?
JulianaFinch.com. And then I'm on all the socials as Write, Play, Repeat, like writing. And yeah, I write a newsletter every week. And sometimes it's love notes and poems, and sometimes it's songs. And it's free to subscribe to that. And that's kind of where I live these days.
If you'll have thoughts on your next or ideas for other movies that would have been good animal horror films directed by a woman, Let us know on Instagram at randomhorror9 or over on our Patreon where we have public discussion threads for each and every episode, and you do not need to be a paying member to participate in those discussion threads. And watch Cocaine Bear with us this week, and come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no stupid girls ruining your boys-only murder night or nothing. Boo.